Welcome to our latest adventure. Today we explore Even Further Hildibrand Adventures from Stormblood, Part 1.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Eorzean Archons. I'm FaZe.
And I'm Catherine.
This video will cover the Even Further Hildibrand Adventures quest through the Blade Mislaid.
There will be no spoilers in this video after the Stormblood expansion.
Remember to subscribe and click the bell icon if you'd like to be notified of future videos.
Let's get started.
Crime is everywhere in a big city like this, Cat. You know what this city needs? A crime fighter like me. I'm FaZe Man, and you can be my sidekick, Cat Girl.
No. You may not call me Catgirl, and I'm no one's sidekick.
Don't worry, we'll have secret identities and a bunch of cool gadgets and fancy cars to catch bad guys with. I'm so rich, it's not a problem.
Always a joker. Let's go, FaZe Man. Hildibrand has to be around here somewhere.
I'll put up the FaZe signal so Hildibrand knows we're coming, because it looks like we're off on another FaZe venture.
In Kugane, on the search for Hildibrand, we spy a conspicuously inconspicuous Lalafell. He tells us of a very, very beautiful Eorzean girl traveling alone here in Authard. He wants us to make sure she doesn't fall victim to any bad people trying to trick her in this foreign land. Though fate would have it that this damsel is none other than Nashu, and a Namazu is already haggling her to pay for information on Hildibrand. Gyoro, the same Namazu that tried to betray us to the Garleans, is back to his old trickster ways. Knowing he's in deep trouble, Gyoro offers up his information for free once he returns from a pressing engagement. Though I doubt he'll show up again so long as we're here.
Seeing Nashu needs some help, we team up to help her find Hildibrand. Hildibrand has a knack for finding trouble wherever it is, so all we need to do is find the biggest case in town and he's sure to show up eventually. Asking around, we hear of some recent break-ins to wealthy homes. Seems as though a thief has been hitting up the rich merchants. We also find that conspicuously inconspicuous Lalafell again, who admits he's been stalking Nashu as a secret and very creepy admirer since our days in Ul'dah. We try to warn Nashu about the stalker, but she doesn't seem to believe us. However, she does agree to meet with a man named Akabono to learn more about these break-ins.
On the other end of the Rakuza district, we find Akabono talking with a young man about the case. Right as we're about to go in and ask to speak with them, the man turns and runs straight into Nashu. He apologizes and tells us his name is Shigiri, a samurai of the Far East, here to bring justice to the criminal at large. Great, we found Hildibrand's competition before finding the Manderville himself. As Shigiri heads out in a hurry, we turn our attention back to the informant.
Excuse me, good sir. I must ask you a question.
What a suspiciously mysterious mustache. I think a pair of glasses would properly complete that look.
Akabono tells us how he's been robbed recently, and of all the items in the house, his most prized possession was stolen. The thief left behind a note saying, "You have been robbed by the Kugane Wolf Burglar." It seems our thief has a calling card. There's no way Hildibrand can resist the case now. Akabono only wishes someone would return his possessions. Don't worry about anything, Mario. Your possessions may be in another castle, but we'll get them back for you.
So we know of the thief's alias, their calling card, and we have a few reports of eyewitnesses. Nashu even took time to draw up a sketch of the thief based on the report. Okay, let's just destroy that now before anyone sees it. We decide to split up to ask all of the wealthiest people we can find if they were able to provide any additional details on our thief. Our search doesn't provide too many clues, as the thief seems to be picky of his targets, but grows bolder with each heist.
We take what little we found back to Nashu in the markets. She suggests that if we want an encounter with the thief, we'd need to predict his next target and catch him in the act. As we chat, we're interrupted by Shigure running by and slamming into Nashu's stalker. As we approach to see if they're alright, Nashu's stalker bolts out all googly-eyed. We take the awkward moment to ask Shigure if he's found any leads on the wolf burglar. He shares with us that there's a private auction of many special foreign wares taking place in Kugane soon. The thief may not be able to resist such an event. We ask to tag along with Shigure, and he agrees to show us the auction.
Ooh, what if they have a cool new mount at the auction?
Cat, we're on a mission. Focus up.
Well, just in case, how about you loan me a couple million gil, in the event we need it for the investigation?
What do you take me for, a fool? Last I checked, Hildibrand isn't around.
As we wait for the private auction, we see Akabono again, followed by a few other wealthy merchants. Our auction broker comes into the stall shortly after to begin the bidding. Turns out this auction is very shady though, as the first item up for bid is a Kakirin, but the auctioneer states it's a fabled ratman whose flesh, when consumed, bestows life everlasting. So yeah, Akabono buys him, but don't worry kids, no Kikirin were harmed in the making of this video.
Up next is a statue from Eorzea. The Eorzean Gentleman, a statue depicting a living, breathing man frozen in time. Yet the statue is obviously the living and breathing Hildibrand. Nashu thinks he may actually be frozen in time though, and attempts to wake him up like before with their famous bombs. Luckily, Shigure talks her down, rightfully reminding her of the innocents in the area. A second look at Hildibrand now shows a terrified face. The bidding for Hildibrand begins, going all the way up to 800,000 Kaban. Nashu turns to us in a panic, asking us to do something to save the inspector.
Good riddance. I wouldn't save you, Hildibrand, if I could.
Exactly, 'cause you're broke, as always.
Listen, that glamour was a necessary expense. The skirt was a perfect length. I had to buy it.
As if on cue, a smoke bomb goes off, and with it, the statue, Hildibrand, disappears. All that's left is the calling card of the Kugane wolf burglar. Akabono caught a glimpse of the wolf-like thief heading for the short pier, so we team up with Shigure to chase after him. At the pier, a captain claims to have seen the thief with a statue in tow headed for the ruby price. Perhaps a watchman of the sea could direct us from there as to the wolf's whereabouts.
The watchman doesn't seem to have any information on the exact whereabouts of our thief, so Shigure suggests we head over to Sakazuki, where they collect the ruby tithe from everyone traversing the waters for the Confederacy. The locals did spot someone who refused to pay the tithe, but it was a dead man drifting in a boat, so he didn't bother chasing after him. Sounds like Hildibrand for sure, the zombie-like man that he is. Shigure thinks he may have mistaken the dead man for the gentleman's statue that was stolen.
Over on the Isle of Beko, Nashu spots someone with big ears and a long fluffy tail. We confront the wolf, only to find out he's actually just one of Hildibrand's gentle dead men, dressed up like a Lupin. Of course, it's the same emissary we saw in Korthus, now here looking for more dead friends. Unfortunately, we've already re-killed all of the undead here too. With no success in finding new friends, this gentle deadman was about to head back to Eorzea when he felt the etheric tug of Master Zombiebrand nearby. I guess we can use that good old zombie radar to find Hildibrand again. Oh, and as for the wolf costume, a tradesman sold it to him so he could fit in better and not look so, dead.
As we head in the direction of the gentle dead man's zombie radar, we come across the wolf burglar carrying Hildibrand on his back. Nashu is just happy to see the thief matches her sketch from earlier. Sure, if you squint real hard and cover one eye. Shigure cries out to the Lupin, warning that his days of thievery are over. This prompts the wolf to run, and Nashu responds with serving up Nashu's delight, Dango style. A kebab of bombs rolls down the hill, breaking Hildibrand free of his paralysis in sheer terror as he catches the bombs and attempts to throw them away. His throw, though, only seems to launch away the skewer, leaving the bombs at their feet.
Kaboom! A dazzling display of color and gunpowder launches Hildibrand to one end of the ravine, holding on for dear life, and the wolf to the other end. With only a split second to decide between saving Hildibrand or catching the thief, we don't even hesitate to go for the thief. Hildibrand survived a fall from Dalamud. He'll be fine from this drop. Besides, the mission comes first. As we attempt to corner the wolf burglar, he decides to drop to his demise rather than be captured. But we're dealing with no mere amateur, for as he falls, a falcon swoops in to catch the thief. He taunts us, saying that he has no reason to stay around any longer, now realizing the statue was actually a man. And with that, he flies off.
As predicted, Hildibrand runs back up the hill to meet us, only slightly beaten up from the bombs and the fall. A quickened introduction gets Shigure and Hildibrand acquainted, just in time for Hildibrand to race off to solve the case. Some things never change. I suppose we should tag along to make sure he doesn't get into any more trouble.
Over on the shoreline, we find Hildibrand with a wayward Kikurn. He tells us he sniffed out a new case, the case of the kidnapped Kikurn. The Kikurn claims that his business partner was kidnapped while they were unloading goods at the Kugane docks. While we definitely know the merchant who sold his friend, we should head back to Kugane now and confront this man.
We make a stop to the private auction to interrogate the broker responsible for selling off the kidnapped Kikirin. Shigure attempts to place him under arrest for slave trading, but his words fall flat, for he is not of the official Sekisugumi. He is only a wandering samurai. But wait, right on cue, a member of the Sekisugumi approaches the stall, repeating the arrest, but this time finding greater success. He thanks us all for helping their investigation into the broker's shady dealings. The kidnapped Kakirin stops by to thank us as well. However, the Sekisugumi samurai is disappointed that Shigiri failed to report on the wolf burglar run-in we had earlier and instead chased after him on his own. For this reason, he states that Shigiri cannot be accepted into the Sekisugumi.
As it turns out, Shigure journeyed to Kugane in hopes of joining the Sekisugumi, but was deemed unworthy. Bringing the wolf burglar to justice is his last-ditch effort to prove his worth. Such compassion for the case relights a fire in Hildibrand's heart, as he swears to help him succeed in catching the thief. And as per usual, he and Nashu run off without another word. Even Shigure agrees that while the investigating pair is surely determined, they'll need our cool heads and wits to actually see this case closed.
As we attempt to catch up to Hildibrand in the Rakusa district, we hear him talking with Akebono again. Our favorite mustached friend is recounting how the wolf burglar attempted to steal his most prized sword in broad daylight. But this time, Akebono had a new bodyguard ready, a samurai by the name of Yojimbo. He was able to protect the sword, but Shigiri warns him that the wolf burglar is one to try until he succeeds. Unfortunately, Akebono is overconfident in the new bodyguard and won't be taking any additional support.
Seeing this as our only good lead to finding the wolf burglar again, we chase after Akebono to nag him about the situation further. He's made his way to a private showing down the street, but his bodyguard won't let us in. Apparently, we aren't pretty enough to be professional entertainers.
Wow, how dare he speak poorly of FaZe like that?
What? How do you know he wasn't talking about you?
There, FaZe. No need to be offended. I'm sure you'd make a lovely entertainer with white face paint and a kimono.
Whoa. Don't say that out loud. You'll give Hildibrand bad ideas.
Hildibrand says he has a plan, but we need to follow him down the street where the professional entertainers live to meet an acquaintance of Shigiri's. We ask the lady if we can borrow a kimono, a traditional garb for such entertainers, but with a cost of 70k gil to ensure we return the kimono, Hildibrand can't afford it since he's broke. However, in his time in Kugane, he's learned of a custom where one would shave their head of hair to express the fervor of their conviction.
With scissors and comb in hand, Nashu assumes the pose of a professional esthetician and scans the three of us to choose her victim. In the blink of an eye, she moves in with a flurry of snips and cuts, leaving Shigure standing before us, bald. He drops to the floor, devastated, while Hildibrand secures the kimono from the clearly amused lady who agrees that the entertainment was payment enough. His plan comes to fruition as Nashu adorns the kimono, taking the appearance of the professional entertainers. We tell Shigure to cheer up as we make for Akebono's private showing.
This time around, the bodyguard allows Nashu, and Nashu only, to enter the venue. Surely one of us should have accompanied her, but Hildibrand seems confident. He did say this plan would surpass beauty. Meanwhile, inside the abode, Akebono is talking with a friend of his about the priceless sword over some wine and entertainment. With scheming undertones, they talk about a project Akebono's been planning and how they will always take what they want.
Nashu enters just in time to be welcomed by the party as they partake in the food, and behind her is another entertainer. Oh my. Hildibrand has outdone himself this time. He follows Nashu in wearing full face paint in a kimono. Akebono and his friend immediately shoo him away, but Yojimbo, Akebono's guard off in the corner, refuses to lay hands on a fair maiden such as Hildibrand. As Hildibrand dances in an attempt to change Akebono's mind, we spot the wolf burglar entering the building. We race past the guard to join the chaos, but not before the thief can get his paws in the Saburo Sukahiro sword.
Seeing our cover is blown, Hildibrand and Nashu quick change back into their normal attire. For a moment, Yojimbo stares at us and Hildibrand with a look of realization. In this awkward delay, the wolf burglar gets out one of his smoke bombs and detonates it as everyone jumps after him. As the smoke settles, Hildibrand and company are left in a dog pile as their thief gets away out the window. All we managed to grab was a dagger from the thief, not the prized sword.
Outside the venue, Shigure reveals he may know where the wolf burglar is headed. He believes that he's fled to Yangxia, based on the Doman craftsmanship of the dagger he grabbed from the thief. We give chase out to Yangxia along with Yojimbo. The samurai guard brought along his little doggy friend, Daigoro, to help us sniff out the thief. Using the scent of the dagger, Daigoro leads us into Doma. However, something smells fishy, and Daigoro can't help us any further, so we decide to split up and search for clues.
On the northwest end of town, we find a smelly Namazu, hungover. The Namazu says he just recently saw the Lupin we are after, but can't remember which way he was headed. Using his fishy sense, and Hildibrand using his intuition, they each point in the way they believe the thief might have gone. Of course, this leads to two completely opposite directions. I suppose we should search for more clues instead.
Just around the corner, we find a pair of gloves next to a smashed vase. If these gloves are somehow from our thief, they may help us get back on the trail. We have Daigoro pick up the scent of the gloves and we follow him down the street. At the far end of town, we find the wolf burglar still carrying the prized sword. Yojimbo unleashes Daigoro after him, but the thief tosses a gold kaban coin far in the distance, drawing the attention of the dog far, far away. I can't tell if he's playing fetch or just wants the money.
As we approach the wolf burglar, he cries out for his bird to help him escape. But this time Hildibrand, still in his makeup, dotes the bird, causing it to fall to the ground, perhaps infatuated by the beauty, or perhaps paralyzed by the ugliness. Either way, the opportunity allows Shigiri to dash for the thief and arrest him, with Hildibrand reclaiming the sword. Yojimbo asks for the sword so that he may confirm it's not a fake. As he confirms the blade is true, he conveniently remembers that he has urgent business in Kugane and takes his leave with the sword, saying he'll deliver it to its rightful owner.
With the sword taken care of, we decide to bring the wolf burglar to Kugane and hand him over to the Seki Sugumi. We're met with praise from the authorities for catching such an elusive villain. However, as they take the Lupin into their establishment, the thief mocks us for being blind to the true villain in our midst. Who is he talking about? Suddenly, Akebono comes running in, thanking us for bringing the thief to justice and asking for his blade back. But didn't Yojimbo say he was bringing the sword back to its rightful owner? He didn't, keep it, did he? Akebono is furious and asks us why we gave the guard he just fired from his service the Saburo Sekihiro sword. He storms off in anger as the Seki Sugumi samurai returns to us.
The samurai asks Shigiri if he'd like to be instituted as a member of the Seki Sugumi, and without hesitation, Shigiri accepts. Seeing as we've got nothing better to do at the moment, we wait around for our new friend to go through the traditional procedures to enter the service. A moment later, he returns a new man, or at least a man with new clothes. He thanks us for our part in this, but also brings with him his first assignment as a Seki Sugumi. His assignment is to hunt down the sword Yojimbo stole and return it to Akebono. He asks for our help since, as a new recruit, he isn't afforded additional men or resources. Before we can get a word in, Hildibrand accepts the task and runs off in search of our latest thief.
Another crime solved by Phase Man and his trusty sidekick, Cat Girl.
Oh no, not this again. We may have caught the wolf burglar, but it appears a new villain is still at large now, with a stolen sword.
Don't worry, I have everything I need to catch Yojimbo in this trusty utility belt, like my Phaserangs, Phase Darts, Phase Claw, Phase Stun Gun, Phase Rope, Phase Bombs, Phase Tracer, and Shark Repellent Phase Spray.
Why do all of your gadgets have your name in them?
'Cause I made them all myself in the Phase Cave. You wanna see? It's in my basement.
No, I don't think so. I'm very concerned now.
There's no time for that now, Cat. We have a villain to catch. Quick, to the Phase Mobile.
Be sure to thumbs up and hit the subscribe button down below. Click the bell to be notified of future videos.
What did you enjoy or not enjoy about the Even Further Hildibrand Adventures? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.
First try.